Catholic priest. He died of cancer in 2009 at 72. Father Richard John Neuhaus, what is As I Lay Dying about?
As I Lay Dying, it's about the occasion for it was that I almost died some years ago in connection with a series of catastrophic cancer surgeries. And for weeks and months afterwards, reflected on it and what it meant to be at death's door, what it meant to die, whether I had died or not, and what I means, what the word I means relative to the body's dying. So it's a book of reflections, a very personal book, a painfully personal book in many ways, a book of poetry in part, literary, philosophical, theological. But I think it's a book, I hope it's a book, that everybody who knows that we're all living toward dying, that is, that we live every day against the horizon of the fact that we're going to die, I hope people will be able to enter into what in many ways was the exhilarating and inspiring, albeit painful experience of being at death's door and being brought back.
What year was this?
1993, January 10th was when it all began.
Where?
New York City, where I live, and it was the kind of thing that ought not to have happened from a medical viewpoint. A number of lawyers have told me that I have a great malpractice suit if I ever wanted to go that route, but I didn't and I don't. I think that would in some way sully my gratitude for having been brought back and for the experience itself. But it was a case where I'd had a number of colonoscopies. Many of you viewers know what that is, and a search for cancer through the intestines and they didn't show anything, which of course from a medical viewpoint is quite astonishing. Many doctors have expressed almost disbelief that somebody could have been so incompetent as not to have caught what was a very major ulcer, which then on late Sunday afternoon, January 10th, 1993, a day that shall live in infamy, so to speak, all of a sudden I found myself just doubled up on the floor in excruciating pain.
Go back to just a moment for the colonoscopy. Was it a routine thing that you'd been taking the colonoscopy?
No, because there had been all kinds of abdominal problems and pains and just all kinds of things that shouldn't have been. And so I remember very well this doctor, not the one who did the colonoscopy, my regular physician, very nice person, and he was so proud of the fact that they now had this world-class fellow there who did the colonoscopies, and that therefore none of his patients would die of colon cancer. But that world-class fellow did it twice and then a third time and caught nothing, until finally I was in an emergency situation where this tumor was simply exploding. We don't want to get into the grisly guts here, but and it was just a terrible, terrible experience. And then they had to go in, and it was a long, long operation, of course. And fortunately, I was living in New York. I was near the hospital, the emergency room of the hospital. And as I say in the book, it's always good when you go in there to have a couple of friends with you, especially friends who can intimidate if necessary, even physically, because there was this very, very officious woman in charge of the desk, and who was not about to let me jump the line. You know, there were a lot of other people there. And,
what hospital was it?
Cabrini Hospital on 19th Street, a block from where I live in New York. But finally, after I fainted and passed out on the floor, she finally decided that maybe there was something seriously wrong.
You were, in 1993, how old?
57.
And had you, other than this discomfort, had you been in pretty good health?
Yes. In fact, remarkably good health all my life. Never really seriously ill at all.
What was your job then?
Well, I'm a priest of the Archdiocese of New York, and so I have a parish, Immaculate Conception on 14th Street and 1st Avenue in New York, Manhattan. Then I run a think tank, a research and education institute called the Institute on Religion and Public Life. And our main project, the main project is a monthly magazine, First Things, a journal on religion and public life. So my work was as a parish priest, as a director of an institute, editor, writer, lecturer, and so forth. I had only 2 years before then been ordained a Catholic priest. I had been a Lutheran pastor for 30 years, from 1960, and had spent many years in Brooklyn in black, very low income, Williamsburg, Bedford-Stuyvesant section of Brooklyn.
Why'd you make the switch from Lutheran to Catholic?
Well, to be more fully who I was and what I was as a Lutheran. I recently wrote an essay, and the title was "How I Became the Catholic That I Was," and that's really in very compact form the message. That is, I believe that the fullness of the Christian reality through time is most fully and rightly embodied in the Catholic Church, and that the whole Christian reality that is outside the boundaries of the Catholic Church gravitates toward unity with the Catholic Church. I'm putting this all together too simply and too succinctly to do justice to the complexity of it, but for many, many years, as a Lutheran pastor and writer and theologian, I had worked for what I called the healing of the breach of the 16th century between Rome and the Reformation. And I think for a very, very long time, it was believable to me and to many others. I was by no means in a small minority. To many others, it was believable that this reconciliation, this ecclesial reconciliation between the Reformation tradition and Rome would happen. After many, many years of this effort, by the mid-'80s, I could no longer persuade myself or others that, in fact, this was a realistic project. It may still happen, God willing, sometime in the distant future, in which case I'll be the first to give thanks.
What year did you make the move?
I entered into full communion with the Catholic Church in September 8th, the Nativity of Our Lady of 1990. And then I was ordained by Cardinal O'Connor. I was received by Cardinal O'Connor, my dear friend, to whom the book is dedicated. And then ordained to the priesthood in September 8th of 1991.
And when you decide you want to become a Catholic priest, and you've been would you have been a Lutheran priest or a Lutheran minister?
Well, Lutherans usually use the word pastor.
Pastor.
Yeah.
What did you have to do? Did you have to go to more school, or just?
Well, not really. The Cardinal John O'Connor set up a kind of special colloquium process. But I had been reading, teaching, and indeed writing about Catholic theology and Catholic doctrine and so forth for years and years. So he thought at least that I was theologically informed and spiritually formed to be a priest. I hope he was right about that.
Where are you from originally?
I was born in the Ottawa Valley of Canada, a little, a not so little town for that area called Pembroke, Ontario, right on the Ottawa River, which divides Quebec and Ontario. And that my dad was a Lutheran pastor there. And we